You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the leaks in your system. Hey there, my friends. Welcome back to the Logistics Life. And I wanted to hit you up on this Monday morning with a little wisdom I gleaned last week. So I'm on a search at the moment for a new coach, just to level up my skill level. And in this process, obviously I'm interviewing a ton, and I'm looking at the conversations we have, right? And I put this back always to, you put it back to sales, right? We do business with people we know, like, and trust. And in sales, as you're very aware, the building of that know, like, and trust is what takes a long time sometimes, right? But one thing that this gentleman said to me last week is he said exactly what I used to open up this show, which is we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the leaks in our systems. And I started thinking about that, because think about this for a second, right? If you have a system that's meant to perform at its best, right? Whatever system that is, take a car, for example, take a pool, take any system. If there's a leak in that process, right, there might be this tiny leak, but it has a massive impact on the overall performance. So think of a vehicle, right? You could have a tiny crack in a fuel line or in an oil line or some kind of air hose. And the compression of the engine, when things get moving, it actually blows it out. So, if you think about it like from a radiator perspective, right? It like pushes and pushes and pushes when the car is on. And then when things settle down, the leak stops. But you can lose all your radiator fluid, like all your coolant, in seconds, right? So you spend hours, days, weeks, months prospecting, building leads, gaining momentum, only to have the systems you use crush it. And I don't mean in a good way of crushing it. I mean in a bad way, right? The systems you use let you down. And it's interesting because this is one thing that I started to realize just before we built Bridger, was salespeople that I was training, the ones who had specific systems in place. And I'm not talking about the sales systems I would teach them. I'm talking about hardcore systems. And what systems do they use to be the most productive? What systems do they use, aka a CRM, to tell them who to follow up, when to follow up, what's to be said, what's the primary, what's the secondary objective? Like, there's all these pieces of the puzzle that we as salespeople, we go to follow up, and it's like you're pulling out your file, or you're looking on your computer, and you're doing 5, 6, 7 minutes of follow. Okay, where was I here with this? Where was I with that? What am I looking for in this call? And then you make a call to get a voicemail, right? So that's what I call a leak. And so what this whole show is about today is just ask yourself and try to identify what are the leaks in my system. So I spent hours this weekend sitting up and just writing notes about what systems I use, how do I possibly see them leaking, and how can I fix it. And throughout this week, I'm going to bring to you new strategies and tools that I use to plug the leaks. I'm going to bring to you some new systems that I use that I'm testing right now to see what happens and see how they work. And I'm going to bring some new ideas and strategies to you this week, because as we sit here, we're pretty much almost in the middle of Q3 now. Pretty close. Yeah, probably we are. And we are actually. And it's like this year seems to have gone like that. And maybe you feel that way. If we don't plug the leaks now, we are going to have a flood of inconsistencies, a flood of moving forward pieces. And I don't even know if that's proper English. I'm trying to put it all from my head out with, obviously, as you can tell, this ain't scripted. But it's understanding, where are the pieces of the puzzle that let us down, right? Because if we think about this, right, and if you think of self-discipline, which we're going to be talking a lot about this week, if you have the self-discipline to get things done, you're personally the one that's moving the needle. But if your systems let you down, at what point does it get frustrating? At what point do we not even realize something's leaking until we have a flood? And then we are in reactive mode instead of progression mode. And that reactive mode will cause so many things. It's like not paying attention to your business, having customers leave, and all of a sudden you get a commission check for $4 when you're expecting 4,000. And it's all of a sudden you're like, what? And I know some of you are probably saying, well, Dan, that would never happen. Exactly. That's exactly it. It would never happen because you're paying attention to that. But do you pay attention to your systems that are letting you down? Right? And I'll say it again. We don't, and I wrote it down here. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the leaks of our systems. And when he said that to me, I was like, wow. Okay. Now I get it. Because we come out of the gate, right? And I'm sure you're the same way as a salesperson. You come out of the gate and you're like, yeah, let's go. And then lo and behold, maybe it's our CRM. Maybe it's the way our company's set up. And no offense to any company out there, but a lot of the times we as salespeople, full transparency to y'all, we just feel like a lot of the systems you set up are to track us as opposed to help us, right? So I remember when I was at a very large brokerage, I would use my own system. I would use their TMS simply to update notes, but I would use my own system to stay on track of my leads. And I'm sure I've shown you all that system before, but that was the cornerstone of what we built Bridger for. So if you are, and here's a shameless plug, I know, but if you are in need of systems, check Bridger out, bridgersystem.com. I mean, it will help you. It's the systems designed to not have leaks, to help you continue to pressurize the system and get ahead and have it perform at its peak ability. That's what the system is designed to do. And that's what our mission is in doing it. But that's what my mission is on everything, is how do I bring out the best in people to get the best done? And this bringing out the best in people, if you can bring out the best in anyone, if your systems are not set up to help those people win or to help your team win, you're gonna fall, and you're not producing at the level in which you can produce, whether it be corporately, individually, as a group, as a team, as a unit, whatever the case may be. If your systems are not up to par, you will start losing. That's all there is to it. Now, you might not see it because you might not know that the systems are not up to par, but what I ask you to do is sit down. I thought I had bulletproof systems. I sat down this week and I started looking at it and saying, okay, well, no, actually that's falling. That's not as good as it can be. How do I increase it? And then we start asking ourselves these questions. And when we get into that mindset of asking ourselves the questions of how can we improve it? How can we fix it? Everything changes. So I don't want to beat a dead horse here, and there was no horses hurt in the making of this podcast, but the idea is, take some time today. Sit down, even if it's a half hour, even if it's on your lunch hour. Grab your food, sit down, and just start thinking to yourself, what systems do I use? What are they? And this was the process that I went through, so hopefully it helps you. I sat down and said, okay, what systems do I use, and what's the purpose of those systems? So like, for example, we have Yesware. Yesware for me, we're on G Suite, so Yesware for me, I connect it to 365, G Suite, whatever you're on, and you can tell when people open emails. So what's the purpose of that, right? So we have a system. This is what it does. But what's the purpose of it? And when I say that, I mean, what am I going to use that data for? So for example, when it comes to Yesware, a lot of the times I use that data to say, okay, as soon as I see somebody open my email and say I'm trying to really get a hold of them, I'll make a phone call. Because to me, they're either at their desk opening their email or they're on their phone opening their email. When Yesware tells me somebody's opened their email, I call. But here's the break. What if I miss the notification? How do I put a system in place where I don't miss the notification? So if that's your process, how do you put a system in place? And I realized on the weekend I had no system in place. My system was literally, if I'm looking at my computer and I see the badge icon come up in the top right, that's my system. But what if I'm get up from my desk? What if I'm on a phone call? And when I'm on phone calls, I walk and pace my office. So what if I'm doing this? Then I don't have, that system is broken. So how do we create a system where that won't break? That's what I'm talking about. And you see, I'm talking as granular as that. As granular as if you have a customer that sends you emails and they say within 5 minutes we need an email back, at least saying got it, or we get the rate back as fast as possible. What systems do you have in place to deliver that value to the customer? Because to them, that's what matters. To you, what matters is finding a price that you can do the freight at, that you can move the order at, so you can get the load and move forward. But what system do you have set up to manage that? And I think what you're going to find, well, I think, so from my experience, what I've experienced literally in the last, 72 hours is the fact that I'm dropping the ball in certain areas. But it's interesting because I believe when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. And part of me thinks, it's been about a month and a half to 2 months that I've been pushing off this coaching call because I just wasn't, in my head, I wasn't ready for it. I needed to complete some other steps before I moved on to the next one. And when we're 3 minutes into the conversation and he drops that gold nugget on me, I went, okay, now I realize that this is where I'm at right now. So it's like, we get to levels of productivity and we're like, we're really productive, but then just understand there's always 10 rungs above what you're presently doing. And the systems that you utilize are going to get you to that 10. It's not a matter of coming out and saying, well, I work 10 hours now, I'm going to work 16 hours because I'm going to go up 6 rungs. It's coming out working 10 hours, but taking that 10 hours and making it way more productive because there's no leaks in the system. I hope that helps. I hope that gives you a little bit to think about today on the Monday morning. But until tomorrow, my friends, remember, go out there, make every call educational, crush your sales, and remember, fix the leaks in your system. I'll leave you with this quote once again because I just love it. Okay, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the leaks of your systems. Wow. Good one. Till tomorrow, my friends. Take care.